This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, this is Jan Triplett. I'm your interviewer for today, and I'm talking with a special friend and colleague of mine, Sam Alexander. This is part of our Management Leadership Series. Today is September 15th, 2020, and we're going to start by having you not only see him on camera, but also see a very good-looking picture of him with a little background of Austin, Texas, I think. Is that right, Sam? Is that Austin or is that Dallas?
That's downtown Austin.
All right. So as you can see, Sam is the founder and CEO of Concept to Conception Fashion and Technology LLC. And if you look also in this slide, you will see a lot about his history and something about what C2C does. But he has more than 30 years experience in technology and fashion. And he and I were trading stories about people that we're talking to these days who are not quite in the digital age, but I think that maybe Sam actually created the digital age. If anybody has been responsible for making things happen, particularly in fashion, and bringing people into a new century, that's him. So he also owns, as you can see, 4 sportswear labels. He developed the first Microsoft technology for the fashion industry with his company CyberLink Software in 1996. That was a previous century. But you can tell that he is a man with a young heart and a young mind, and he has a lot to tell us about really thinking about being an entrepreneur and leading people. So thank you again, Sam, for coming.
Oh, thank you for having me this morning, Jan. It's always a pleasure, and it's great to be a part of your ecosystem. You've got an interesting group of diverse people that really bring a lot of collaborative spirit to the table. It's always good to be in one of your groups.
Well, this is particularly for my MBA students at Mary Baldwin University in Stanton, Virginia, and I know that they will appreciate it because you travel all over the country doing good things, and so they are from all over the country. So let's start with, how did you get into this biz? Why are you an entrepreneur, and why aren't you a top manager or a CEO of a Fortune 500 business?
Actually, Jan, I actually started out in the corporate world, and I was at Texas State in San Marcos, and they had these programs called EEOC, which was employment opportunity programs, and they were at that time implementing blacks into the corporate world. And I was taken out of college, and I went to Levi Strauss into their program. And it was probably one of the best things that I did, because it gave me a complete education within the fashion industry, from the cotton fields all the way through to the actual retail floor and into the recycling of the products. So it gave me an insight that I probably couldn't have gotten the firsthand experience if I would have stayed in college. And at the time, I didn't know, I was a junior, and I didn't realize whether I should stay or go. And one of the guys I was working for at that time said, "Sam, you will probably never have another opportunity like this." And he was right, because it gave me the background that I was able to become an entrepreneur. And on this aspect of becoming an entrepreneur, one of the hardest things there is in moving from corporate world to being an entrepreneur. I became very spoiled with having resources at my availability anytime I needed them. And then I had to become the jack of all trades. I had to clean the bathrooms and wash the toilets and do the whole 9 yards. And it was not easy making that transition. And then also I realized that when you get into the regular entrepreneur world, your resources are very limited. And so I had to learn how to create my own resources. And that was probably the most difficult part of making that transition from corporate to entrepreneurial world. And then as going through the ups and downs of our economy, I've actually gone through 4 ups and downs in the economy. And, it's been a great experience of learning how to adapt to each one. And this is probably, hopefully, the last one for me, because I'm going to do this one more time. This is my last run. So this pandemic, overcoming this will be the last objective for me on this earth.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about your new venture in a minute, but I'd like to know, as you see yourself going forward in terms of being an entrepreneur, having business, working with other businesses, because you work primarily business to business, what do you see as the purpose of each of the businesses you've created?
Well, number one, I think the biggest issue that I have being an entrepreneur and being around other entrepreneurs is they're always looking for venture capital. And what an entrepreneur has to learn first is revenue streams. You have to create a business as an entrepreneur that's going to generate a revenue stream that becomes sustainable for you to be able to run your business. And it's very difficult for a lot of people to think that way because they're so used to seeing the picture on TV of Shark Tank and all that, where they can go out and get all the money they need and basically I say wasted, because I've seen so many entrepreneurs that did acquire the capital that went through it like it was water, and they were not able to show any kind of financial responsibility or production from the financial capital. But as far as the companies that I have right now, I've had to reinvent myself within the industry because my industry has collapsed. And we've had over 42,000 retailers in the last 2.5 years that have gone bankrupt or shut their doors. And we've also, and it's not anything that hadn't gone on in the past, because there's always been transition in our industry. And, you know, one of the things that we always realized as entrepreneurs is that we would lose 3 accounts and pick up 5 more. The issue now is there's not 4 or 5 more accounts, because you're going not to the retailer, but you're having to go directly to the consumer. And that's a whole nother aspect of doing business when you go B2C. And I'm learning that myself now. It's going to be a journey for me, and I'm willing to take it on. But I also look at things from the 80-20 perspective. 20% of my clients do 80% of my business, so I have to target those 20% and make sure that I'm focusing in on the products that they are looking for. And right now, as from a marketing standpoint, we're looking at 2 marketing areas. One is safety, and the other one is comfort. And if you'll watch the companies that are gone crazy during this pandemic, those are the companies that are focused in on safety and comfort. And like companies like Lululemon or any of the home furnishing companies that are out there, their businesses are going through the roof. And so it's just, you know, there's always opportunity out of chaos, as Confucius says.
I think that's a really important thing to say, and it certainly pinpoints the values that I think that you bring to business, no matter what the business is. Are there struggles trying to get traditional industries like fashion to get up to speed? Is that an issue that you deal with?
Well, the biggest problem that I'm having right now is I'm having to walk away from my industry as a whole, because the majority of the industry will not evolve. And you can see that by just the amount of bankruptcies. And I'm not talking about small companies. Some of the largest companies in our industry are filing bankruptcies or shutting down hundreds of stores at one time. And so, you know, from a sales standpoint, as I said earlier, you're looking at sales that are going to be based on safety and comfort. From a marketing standpoint, you have to really look at the sustainability of your products right now within the ecosystem and the impact that your products will have on the quality of life that the customer has, plus what effect it's going to have on the ecosystem in the biosphere. And that's going to become a major issue from the standpoint of global warming and all of the issues with floods and everything that we're having right now. So there's a lot of things that we're going to have to take into consideration other than making a product and selling it to someone. There's the environmental issue that we're dealing with, which is going to be a major issue. And then the other side of it is raw materials. There's going to be a shortage of raw materials with Africa, China, and India starting to consume products at the rate that the U.S. has been consuming them. You're going to have shortages of raw material. So that's where we have to get into actually finding ways of getting better production out of the raw materials that we have. And right now, your aggregate efficiency of usage of raw materials is at the high of 20%. And that would be Japan. Germany's at like 15%. And the US is at 14% usage of raw materials in the aggregate efficiency. So we need to take that other 80% and figure out how to utilize those raw materials and have a circular economy and be able to become more sustainable.
That sounds like you're somewhat of maybe a lobbyist or a government relations person in terms of getting things through and getting basically the industry on board? Am I reading something into it that I shouldn't?
I think that putting it into the cosmos, as they say, will bring about results. And I think right now you just have to put it out there, and people, even the government now, even the agencies that I've been associated with, they're all looking for ways of making this transition. And you know, it's not a siloed mentality in doing business anymore. It's a decentralized collaboration. And most people don't really understand what that means. It doesn't mean I'm going to give you a job. It means that you have to become an entrepreneur or work in a gig economy. And I think the word job will become as an ancient word in a short period of time. Anyone that's not understanding the gig economy and also the decentralized collaboration on how to do business, it's going to be very difficult for them to do business in the future, because there's no siloed mentalities in doing business anymore.
And you've been really instrumental in creating the fashion incubator at the community college in our area. How did that come about?
Well,
and is
what
that related?
we see the efforts of Trisector, and basically what you're looking at now is that innovation of technology. Not only did we move out of an era, but we've also moved into another dimension, and that dimension is a digital world. And the amount of technology that's available to innovate and actually move us ahead of all the other countries, and also make us sustainable because we won't be overproducing products. That is one of the focuses of the colleges in Trisector. Trisector would be an integration of government, what you were asking me about earlier, private industry, and education. And you'll see that focus is going to be the focus of all the universities going forward, because that's how they're going to have to save themselves from what's going on with this pandemic. Is they're going to have to focus in on a Trisector integration. And as far as the actual incubator that we built here in Austin, it was a collaboration of those three entities, and it's still in a building process, but we have built it, and it has the ability to move the fashion industry here in Austin past anyone else in the world. And we have the creative people here in Texas that can do that. It's going to take more collaboration and more focus in on where we're taking the industry to.
And you were able to really leverage one of the industry leaders in terms of equipment, weren't you, to get at the incubator?
Gerber Technology, when I asked them to come in on the project, they were very excited about it, because they were also understanding the transition that we were going through in our industry. And not only Gerber, but there are many other parts of our industry. I mean, companies that are in our industry that are from the manufacturing end that are looking to evolve. And we know that once we evolve from the manufacturing end, the retailers will reestablish themselves and be able to utilize a lot of the AI and VR, AR technologies that we'll be introducing to them to help have an interactive process with the customer versus a passive process. And you're going to see interactive become the most important part of anybody's relationships with their customers.
Would you explain AI and VR and AR?
AI is artificial intelligence, and AI basically is your brain. It basically functions as analytics to take the data that you're acquiring and give it to you in a manner that's going to be efficient for you to be able to supply your products, to be able to analyze your customer, to be able to help your customer analyze the products. So it'll work from all different directions, and you'll have everything from AI bots that'll help with the choosing of your fashion, AI bots that'll understand your behaviors and help you to understand trends and to become a part of those trends without losing your identity. There's all kinds of different things that we worked into AI. The other part of it is mixed reality, virtual reality, and augmented reality. We started out in the virtual reality world and soon realized that it was not as to the advantage of the virtual world. And now what you're moving into is mixed reality. Virtual reality is when you go in and become a part of the virtual world. Augmented reality is when you bring the virtual world to the real world. Mixed reality is when you bring the virtual world to the real world and you're able to interact with it.
That sounds exciting. I'm a big Star Trek fan, and I have visions of the holodeck and things of that sort. That is so interesting, Sam, and I am so pleased to know you and to know about this that you're working on. I'd like you to talk a little bit about your new venture, C2C, and how you are creating these 4 online platforms. And I have also on this slide how to contact you. And is it okay if people would like to contact you and
Sure.
find out more?
I'm always open for collaboration. Basically, what happened is in our industry, when we developed the first Microsoft software, I got involved with Microsoft, and I was able to become a part of anytime they were introducing new products. And when they introduced SQL Server in the late 90s, I was like blown away because I realized that we're about to move into a whole another type of technology. And I actually built my first cloud system, and we had it up and running in 1998.
Wow.
And before anybody even knew what cloud was, we had our own cloud system.
Right.
And
It's the stuff in the sky, right?
yeah, correct. And we built our complete ecosystem for the industry, and had it up and going in 2002. And I was ready to go in 2002 with this program. The first type of University of Houston in Houston actually helped us to do the coding on the first program. So I've always worked with the universities, and they've always been very helpful to me in helping me to develop any ideas or concepts that I needed. Plus, I was always able to help them with finding the resources that they needed from the private industry. So basically, what I looked at and I saw changing was how we would do our business. And when the original software that I wrote actually propelled my business to where we became so much more powerful than anyone else in our industry that no one could compete with us. And when I saw this new technology, I felt like, okay, I've got to make this move now and get out of the proprietary systems and move into the cloud. So we built the program out, and I went through a little divorce and had to start all over again. And actually, within the time period that I was going through all this, we had to rewrite the ERP, which is the enterprise software. We had to rewrite it 3 times to bring it up to scale with the new technologies that were out there as they were changing. And right now, just in the technology industry, you're looking at about a 90-day generation gap as far as how fast things are changing in the industry. So you've got to constantly be agile enough to adapt to it. So we built this new platform, and it's basically from the factory all the way through to the consumer. And we've got everything from artificial intelligence. We're built on top of blockchain. We're running AR, VR, and at this point, AR and VR software. We're hopefully to introduce the MR on a new sensor that we're developing for next month. And we have an intranet system, which is a system, it's kind of like a Facebook or a LinkedIn, but it's a private system for our clients. We have the business builder system, which is our system of ERP and CRM, which is a customer relation management system, and it handles all your management of your customers, and it's integrated into your intranet system. And then we have the Business Connect, which is our our video conferencing processing. That's all, and all these systems are integrated into the virtual shop. And in the virtual shop, we've got a new type of technology. It's an enterprise system that we built HTML5 into, which means that we can integrate voice and video into the platform, so it will become interactive. We've also integrated artificial intelligence into it for fit, and then for fit and for analytics of the customer. And then we've also integrated then the try-on software into the system, so you can actually try the products on and create an avatar of yourself so that you can understand your sizing and everything based on the products. One of the advantages that I have over most of my competitors is we have all the tech packs in our product development system, which is a C2C business builder, that we can use artificial intelligence to analyze your actual avatar size to the actual product and tell you whether or not it'll fit before you buy it. 70% of all online sales in the fashion industry are returned.
Wow.
Yeah.
So all of these wonderful things you've created, have you patented them or are you in the process?
No, it's not that important for me to have a patent. These are tools for my company, and we are developing what's called IoT products, Internet of Things, meaning that everything that we're doing is either nano or biotech integrated, and those are the type of things that will be patent or have patents that we're using to develop the products. My focus is the products that I just talked to you about are only tools to run my business. We are developing new types of technology for the fashion industry. GPS that we're building in the clothing, everything will be 10 to the 9, which means it's Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. So you'll have connectivity to your phone, to your homes, to the intersections on the corners. I mean, there's all kinds of technologies that will be IoT moving forward. And in the future, they're predicting that the IoT business by the year 2028 will be a $150 billion business. And so right now I'm focusing on that, and these tools that you've just seen are basically for my clients to use to have an advantage over everyone else in the world.
Well, you are an amazing man. You are certainly an amazing entrepreneur. And I
Thank you.
think that the world is in good hands because there's Sam Alexander, or Samuel Alexander Jr. out there as the founder and CEO of C2C Fashion and Technology. Thank you, Sam, so much for coming and sharing your expertise. Do you have one last thought that you'd like to share with people who are going down this road or who've been down this road and are a little worried?
Well, the one thing that I tell, and I use it every day, is it is what it is, deal with it. And there's no negative or positive. Negative, positives are just different viewpoints of the same situation.
Wonderful advice. Again, thank you so much for being with me. I certainly appreciate it. Sam Alexander, you have given us some great things to think about, some wonderful resources, and I so appreciate it.
Jan, thank you for having me, and I appreciate you giving me this opportunity. You have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.